June 2016, so summer before the presidential election, that's when we first learned that the Democratic National Committee, Democratic Party, had been hacked. This was the first story that ran about it in the Washington Post, which also helpfully made clear, based on a forensic analysis that was done by a computer security firm, that it appeared that that hack of the Democratic Party was carried out by Russian government hackers. Well before the disaster of Georgia election security in the 2016 election. In his first full year as Secretary of State in 2010, he sent armed agents door to door in black neighborhoods in Brooks County, Georgia. This was after a big get out the vote effort there among black residents. That big get out the vote effort led to the first ever majority African-American school board in their town. Local residents said they'd been motivated that year by teacher layoffs in their school district, teacher layoffs that were really unpopular. And according to one local leader of the voter registration effort, quote, "We'd been bit by the Obama bug." This is 2010. "We'd been bit by the Obama bug, and we knew it was time for a change in Brooks County as well." They brought criminal charges against 12 local black residents who'd helped in the Get Out the Vote effort. They brought charges against those 12 residents for things like bringing envelopes containing completed absentee ballots to a mailbox. They criminally charged this group of local residents with more than 100 election law violations, including dozens of felonies. They put them on trial to face more than 1,000 combined years in prison. And you know what? Not a single one of those charges held up. On every single one of those charges, the local resident was either acquitted or the charge had to be dropped by the prosecutors. Not only were there no convictions, there weren't even any plea deals. Acquitted or dropped on every single one. And the Attorney General of the state subsequently had to issue a statement clarifying that actually none of the actions those African-American local residents in Brooks County had been charged with, none of the things they were charged with were actually illegal. Mailing in absentee ballots is not a crime. Registering your neighbors to vote is not a crime. But tell that to the people who Brian Kemp sent his armed agents door to door after in 2010. That's Brian Kemp, Georgia Secretary of State.
attention to it. And I got one question. Everybody had a chance to look at it, I just want to ask the mayor. Is this a true statement?
You have what you have before you, I'm not going to answer that.
Well, if you don't want to answer it, you lied to the court.
I have not done anything to the court.
You didn't lie.
This is not here for this
You
discussion.
didn't lie. You
Excuse
need to
me.
step out of your seat right
This,
now.
this is
because you're
not
a
up for
resident of Florida.
discussion. This is not up for discussion.
We're discussing.
No, this is not up for
You
discussion.
don't rule everything, dear.
This is council, this is personal, and this is not up for discussion.
This is not personal. If you don't live in Gordon, you cannot be the mayor of Gordon.
This is
And
not
this
up for
says you
discussion.
live in Jonesboro, Georgia.
This is not up for discussion.
Yes, it is.
This is not up for
We'll call the
discussion.
judge in Lake County.
Do as you see fit. If that being all, council, there being no further discussion, do I have can I get a recommendation to adjourn?
Mayor, I think there's some agenda items you have to cover.
No, I don't have any agenda items. I stated previously that I've not had a chance to look at that. I set the agenda before I left to go to Jekyll Island, and I stated that I'm not going to address that tonight until I had it removed.
Council will have a vote.
No, this is not up for a vote.
Council will have a vote to read the agenda.
The meeting, can I get a recommendation
I
that
say
we
we
adjourn?
discuss it.
One thing, Madam Mayor, the auditor has asked that we, make a motion that we accept his proposal that he presented to us tonight, and I'll make that motion.
Second.
And I second the motion. Motion has been made in second, all in favor?
Aye.
To accept the offer? And, we get with me with the report when it's fine. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Debbie.
Yes, sir.
Our meeting be adjourned until, there will be a holiday, September, the first Monday. So would y'all like to schedule it for the second, for the Tuesday? What day?
Y'all didn't vote on the motion in second
Which one?
to accept the audit.
I thought we did.
Didn't hear you.
Councilman Edie.
I made the
I heard
motion.
the
she
motion
said-
in second, but I didn't hear everybody vote.
We did vote on it.
Councilwoman Whipple did. Yeah,
Y'all,
and everybody's all in favor. At least
Aye.
you all say it again.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so the motion has been made to adjourn and second.
and who made that? I was talking about the audit.
We're not finished with that.
They voted on the audit.
Right,
That's what I was asking. Are now, what you're saying now is to adjourn?
yes.
All right, now who made the motion in second?
Councilwoman Whipple.
Seconded by.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor?
I just can't hear everybody. Has everybody voted to adjourn yet?
It was three.
Did everybody vote to adjourn?
No, I didn't vote.
No, you have not voted?
I have not voted to adjourn.
adjourn.
We didn't vote at all yet, we hadn't voted to, anything, we just did not vote.
We just did.
No, she
Council.
didn't, no, you did not ask any, any no votes, whatever you wanna ask, where you
I
asked.
asked all, well, I'll ask all opposed.
All opposed?
I abstain.
I oppose.
And Mr. Densley.
What are we voting on?
You voted to abstain earlier. You voted to adjourn earlier.
There was some items we wanted to talk
You
about.
voted to adjourn earlier. So that takes care of that. We've already voted to adjourn. Meeting over. Meeting is over.
No, it's not,
Thank
Mayor.
you.
There's no open meetings.
Meeting
That
is
is not
over.
a valid vote. No. And there's, there are council agenda items, the council did not vote to terminate or not to discuss. You said they wouldn't be discussed, but it was a publicly posted notice that has to be amended by the council, or else it will be an open meetings violation.
Let me say this, Attorney Green. What has happened is that, as I stated earlier, and hear me good, as the mayor, I get to set the agenda. Nothing, if that was the case, I should have been called and told, that this would take place. I've not had chance to review anything or don't have anything to that effect. I'm not opposed to whatever you all are offering, but I've not had that information presented to me.
It was sent to city, fax to City Hall.
I didn't receive it.
I put it in everybody's boxes, and you had the agenda before you left
I
for your
think
meeting.
that was sent Thursday. Right. Thursday, we were out of town.
Y'all had the agenda before y'all left here.
No,
We didn't have the agenda.
we will not entertain that.
It was all in private, everybody.
The agenda came in the mail on Saturday.
Good.
Y'all got it.
It came in on Saturday, the agenda came in on Saturday.
Everybody else said that.
So we didn't, I didn't
You
get
got yours
yours
there.
there. And I still don't have it.
It was up on your little mailbox.
I've not been in there.
You need to go check your mail, my dear. I mean, that's the place where I put all your mail in.
And I'm not saying that you don't, but like I said, that is not. All right, so, as stated that we'll address that at the next meeting. Thank you. All right, meeting is adjourned.
Yep.
Madam Mayor, I do not think the, meeting has been legally voted on to adjourn.
We,
I know with an abstention and no votes, it did not come to a tie any kind of way.
no, it did not come to a tie, but in the event, when there's an abstention according to the charter, that vote.
Go by the Robert's Rules of Order, and it does not count yes or no.
We have not,
The Supreme Court ruled on that back in, January when we went. It's in their ruling.
we, do not, Attorney, I know that this, apparently this.
It's really simple. All we got is two items that we just need to, address, the resolution and the, talk about the attorney seminar.
The thing of it is, as I said, I don't have the information on that. And would you get that information to me once I get that and read it? I don't have a problem with it.
I sent it to City Hall, which is your official, office.
I'm not saying that you did it.
Mayor, we'd be happy to do that again, and you've asked that the agenda be amended to not have those items, but we haven't had a motion to amend the agenda to omit those items.
Exactly, before I got to that, I said, being that I see that this is on the agenda, I said that I've not had a chance to review or don't have that information. So what I will do is just, take the can discuss it then.
But the council still would have to move, they'd have to understand your position and be sympathetic to it and move. Somebody still has to move to omit those agenda items from the agenda, and then there would have to be a vote to
Well,
not talk about it.
and what we need to start doing is common, respect in this. The mayor sets the agenda. After the mayor has set the agenda, then you don't come back and, just because you all, the attorney wants to have, something changed or whatever, I'm to be contacted, which I was never contacted, to say that, would I, accept this as being placed on the agenda? And yes, council does vote on it once it's there, but I said then that I don't have the information. I know nothing about what you all are talking about.
Ma'am, I think the gravamen of the concern here is the open meetings.
What is it? Listen,
Y'all know Wednesday? But,
Well, isn't that part of the mayor's job, to go get a mayor that leaves once a week?
If the agenda is posted, which it was for the public to view, it's reasonable to believe that the public will come view it and will make their decisions whether or not to attend the meeting based on what they believe will be addressed at the meeting based on the agenda. And if we're not gonna discuss those, or if we're gonna discuss something other than what was posted, then that needs to be moved upon by the council.
and as mayor, I have that choice too. That's why I set the agenda. I asked the clerk, let me say this prior to my leaving. I asked Clerk Brown, is there anything else? I always call, each one and ask, what is that needs to be placed on the agenda? She said she had nothing. She knew of nothing. So when did this come about?
and after you done that, you normally don't mail them up to fines, but you did it on Wednesday this time, so this
Because-
came in after you had left.
And you said that it would make better sense, and so if it came in after I left, would it make any sense not to discuss it at the next meeting?
You could call and ask what was on the agenda.
I don't
Be glad
generally
to
do
answer.
that once
But
in a while.
once something was added, excuse me, once something was added, why didn't you call the mayor and let the mayor inform the mayor that something was gonna be added, that something
Could've called
needed to
me
be?
also.
Yeah, but it was given to you, the information wasn't given, it was given to you.
I put it on there.
And I don't know yet,
We have
I mean,
always
I
put
just
the
seen
same
that
place
on
on
the,
there.
I just seen that on the agenda. I don't know what date or whatever, you know, and I don't have a letter from you.
Ma'am,
They were put in y'all's.
And I'm just
we're not
saying-
personally biased or motivated here. We're trying to protect the city from violating open meetings. All you have to do is move to omit those items from the agenda.
And I'm just
We're not
saying,
personally biased or motivated here. We're trying to protect the city from violating open meetings. All you have to do is move to omit those items from the agenda.
May I ask a question? Can these two items wait till next meeting
That's
with the
what I
time
want.
right?
Exactly, that's all I was saying.
If they can, I make a motion that we remove the two items that are on their resolution regarding citizens participating in council meeting
And I
and
second it.
approve the attorney seminar. I move that we take them off and add them to the next meeting.
I second that.
and a second.
Councilwoman, second. A motion has been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Edens,
The only issue is the seminar will be over by then.
Okay.
Try to be slick.
Excuse me,
Can everybody send me an address where I can be sure you get things, because every time I send something out, it never seems to get to the destination. So if you all write me, call my office, and give Ms. Crystal an address where I can be sure that you will get your mail.
Do we vote to adjourn?
we've already voted.
Thank you.
I saw that picture, yeah, you look kind of pitiful laying out up there in that bed, you know, I thought about it, Steve, I did. I really did, you know.
And all in favor of adjourning? Any opposed? He just said it.
Well, that's the word. They asked my vote to adjourn.
We voted.
Exactly. We already voted. You sure did.
Yeah, really.
They voted about three times.
The American people will not stand up with 14 mayors in various cities, some wherein disgraceful voting rights laws are in shambles, and the Justice Department in the United States of America seem to not give a damn. And I know, because along with most all the civil rights leaders across the United States of America, we sent Eric Holder 2 DVDs of testimonies from the citizens in Brooks County that I have never made public yet. I've never published them publicly. But guess what's coming soon your way? To show that as it was in 1918, 1946, and 2015 is something about the black man, the black woman, and their children that some don't want you to know about.
Appreciate the opportunity to come before this honorable board. I don't represent any particular person here, but after I looked into the facts involving the investigation of this case, I felt it my duty to come and speak to the board. I don't represent a certain individual, but I do represent law and order in my county and executing it fairly on the citizens. Due to the time constraints, I had written a letter to the board, but with such little notice, we didn't get it off. So with your permission, I'd like to go over my letter and just point out some facts in case you have some exhibits attached to your folders. I hope you'll follow along and stop me at any point that I can answer a question. I will say also that the Secretary of State's office, the Investigations Division, has some of the most competent investigators in the state of Georgia. I know this because I was one of them at one time. And I know these investigators, and I work with these investigators, and they're very competent. Unfortunately, the investigator that got to this case left a lot of questions unanswered. And in my opinion, this investigation was sloppily done. And I'll point out some of those instances in my letter. It is my understanding that several citizens of Kemp County have matters pending before this body. I would like to take this opportunity to address the board concerning my first-hand knowledge of the fine ethics and good character of many of the individuals named in this report, as well as the obvious investigative deficiencies evidenced throughout this case. Firstly, the complaint originated from an individual well known in my office. As a matter of fact, your complainant, John Dobson, is currently being investigated by the G.B.R. for recklessly and repeatedly pointing a pistol to the head of a local senior citizen while threatening the gentleman's life. because he agreed with Dobson's outlandish and slanderous rants. Closest family circle. Sworn affidavits reveal a sloppy or non-existent investigation aimed only at smearing my family. See attachment number 1, pages 4, 5, 6, and 7, which are sworn affidavits that counter the allegations made against these individuals. I've been a criminal investigator for well over 20 years. I've investigated every crime from shoplifting as a local agency police detective, election fraud as a member of Secretary of State's investigative division, to war crimes as a criminal investigator working overseas for the United Nations. In every case I've ever investigated, all witnesses and all of those accused were interviewed whenever possible. An investigator should never submit to a prosecutor, or in this case, to this board, an investigative report that reflects solely the uncorroborated allegations of the initial complainant. This is not the former Soviet Union, and this is not Saudi Arabia. The agent assigned to this case had 3 years to interview all parties related to this case. I was told the agent claimed she couldn't find them. I was told the agent insinuated that many of the individuals mentioned in her report avoided her attempts to interview them. This is simply not the case. These people are honest and forthright in all of their affairs. They are definitely not the felons this investigator has accused them of being. After casually investigating this case for 3 long years, the respondents were notified they were being accused of committing various felonies by Chief Investigator Chris Harvey, and their case will be brought before the board in 30 days. I, as Sheriff of Delaware County, was contacted by several of these little old ladies and gentlemen named in the report. Many of these individuals are some of the dearest and sweetest elders of our community, hard-working, honest, tax-paying citizens who came up through the Great Depression and fought in our wars. Some are still involved in serving their communities in some way. They are proud Georgians who up until this time believed in our system. They believed in our election process. One 92-year-old widower, a World War II veteran, often boasted proudly to his family and friends that he has voted in every election since he was 18 years old. This same gentleman told me that he will never vote again because of this ridiculous accusation against his 65-year-old daughter, a retired school teacher, widow, and loving grandmother who has never had even the slightest encounter with law enforcement. Another, Mr. Henry Carnes, a 75-year-old respondent who is also a pillar of our community, stated in his sworn affidavit, "I doubt I will ever vote again based on how this investigation has been handled. It's just not worth the hassle." You can see his statement on attachment 1, page 2. As a trained career investigator, and at the request of some of the respondents, I read through the investigative findings regarding this case. I quickly realized that there was absolutely no evidence of criminal intent or fraudulent acts, but what appeared to be only minor errors in filling out absentee ballot envelopes. I also felt compassion for these senior citizens because most are not physically or financially able to defend themselves before this board. I personally hired a private investigations firm to locate and interview the witnesses in this case and to obtain sworn affidavits from them. I merely provided the investigative firm the names of the respondents and witnesses and a copy of the complaint. Promptly, in the course of 2 afternoons, these witnesses and respondents were interviewed and sworn affidavits were obtained. The private investigation revealed that the first time many of the respondents were notified of these accusations was when they received notice from Chief Chris Harvey less than 30 days before the hearings. It also revealed that at least some of the respondents repeatedly reached out to the investigating agent after her card was left on their door and left messages but never being contacted back. At least one lady, Mrs. Carnes, a 71-year-old lady, see attachment 1, page 3, reported that she recently contacted Chris Harvey directly. The respondents and witnesses in this case obviously did not elude investigators, but instead attempted to reach out to them. There are several factors responsible for any errors that may have been detected by the state's investigator in this case. However, even the slightest insinuation of criminal intent and or fraud is grossly unjustified and not supported by the facts. At best, many of the scenarios described in the investigator's report can be attributed to common errors and innocent mistakes. Mistakes such as poll worker did not check the box that an elector's driver's license was inspected 33 times countywide. Out of 35 ballots cast, that's not bad. Elector did not fill in the blank for the street address, 18 counts, countywide. Elector signed their name in the wrong line, 1 count. Poll worker did not check the box that elector was physically disabled, 10 counts. These and similar violations go on and on to equal some 162 counts. I think this board would agree that the fine print regarding the oaths on the absentee ballot is very tiny at 1/16 of an inch. You see an attached sign. The oath of person assisting elector states that only if the person assisted in marking such elector's absentee ballot are they required to sign the oath. Obviously, the investigator assigned to this case also had trouble reading the fine print, as many of those accused of committing a felony by not signing the oath had not assisted in marking the elector's ballot. They may have assisted in filling out the oath of the elector and or assisted in addressing the envelope properly. But in most cases, signing the oath of a person assisting elector is not required. However, if an investigator were to ask an elderly elector or if anyone helped them fill out their ballot, of course they'll say yes, because in their mind they did have help with their ballot. The help was in filling out the oath and address correctly, and maybe applying postage for it. When the private investigator specified to witnesses using exhibits to demonstrate what is considered assistance with their ballots, they quickly clarified their answers, and not one of the witnesses interviewed thus far has corroborated any of the accusations of wrongdoing. We also had a new and at that time inexperienced registrar who had a lot to learn rather quickly. She was in constant communication with the Secretary of State's office staff as she navigated her first election, nervously trying to do everything just right. I'm sure she probably made a few mistakes, but after this horrible experience, she will probably seek further employment. There is not one single element of this case that rises to the level of election fraud. There's not one single element that can support any claim of an elector not freely voting for the candidate of their choice. There's not one single element to support any claim of an eligible voter not being allowed to cast their vote. There's not one single element to support political corruption in our county. I would bet that if the state investigators scrutinized any county election in this state as closely and as for long as they have scrutinized ours, they would find a similar number of these mistakes and probably more. People are not perfect, and temporary employees who may work one election day every few years are bound to err. But as long as they err on the side of not denying a single eligible voter to cast their ballot, we have accomplished our goal as a free democracy. I feel it's very unfortunate that innocent, law-abiding Georgians can be dragged before this board and accused of committing felonies when a fair and competent investigation has not been completed. These matters will forever be a part of the public record, and these good and proud members of our community will forever be shamed and ridiculed for being undeservingly accused of criminal behavior by having their names attached to this report. I am hopeful that members of this board, Secretary Kemp, along with our legislators, will explore measures that might prevent other Georgians from suffering through such an embarrassing ordeal in the future. Best regards. Attached to my letter, you'll find several sworn affidavits that clarify and contradict the information that you've been presented by Investigator Harvey in his report. Sworn affidavit can stand up any court of law anywhere. To give you an analogy of what has happened here is we had a gentleman, we're known for our big deer and world record bass in my part of the state. This gentleman lured an investigation down here with tales of the big game we have. Well, once they came looking for that big game, they didn't find any because the guy was a fraudster. So before going back with an empty sack, they stopped off and bought a few packs of bologna. And that's what you have here is bologna. You can't make big game stew off bologna. I appreciate you all giving me the time to address you. It's upsetting to me had so many negative issues surrounding our county historically. We've got new people in office. We're trying to change things because our economic plight is so bad. We don't have enough industry, and we'll take the rap for what we do, and we'll punish those that have violated the law. But in this case, I'm telling you, there's nothing here. This was a fishing expedition. When the complaints didn't pan out initially, for whatever reason, they decided to dig until they could find something. All you've got here is a few mistakes. And if you've ever been involved with filling out one of these absentee ballots, I'm sure you've made a mistake too. But I hope the board will consider the evidence that I presented. This case has not been adequately investigated. Witnesses have not been adequately interviewed. This case was strung together. It was sloppily done. And innocent Georgians have been dragged through the mud by being attached to this report as a result of that. And I think that should never happen to any Georgian or anyone in this nation as part of that case. I appreciate your time, and any questions you may have, I'm glad to try to answer.
Any questions for the sheriff? No questions. Thank you, Sheriff. Anyone have questions you need?
This is KBCI.blogspot.com, George Foster Rhymes on YouTube. I'm in Quitman in the city of Quitman in the county of Brooks in the state of Georgia. We just left a meeting wherein with the Honorable Civil Rights legend Tyrone Brooks, and we just interviewed people about their experiences with the G.B.R. and the voter registration here in Brooks County, along with the Quitman 10. And while we was getting ready to exit, we met a beautiful brother here. What's your name, my beautiful brother?
James C. Brown III.
Okay. And you were telling my beautiful brother, Tyrone Brooks, what were you telling him about your experiences?
The G.B.R., they came to my house, and I allowed them to enter. They started asking me questions. And so they had a copy of my voter absentee ballot. And they asked me, was that my signature on the ballot? And I said, yes. So I was wondering where they got the ballot from, but I never asked them that question. So then they asked me other questions. They asked me, did I fill out the ballot? And I said, yes. And I sealed the ballot, and I put it in the other envelope and sealed it too. And I asked them, why were they there at my house? Because there was no voter fraud going on at my house, because I was the one that filled out the ballot. Then they asked me who mailed it, and I didn't answer that question. And then they told me that I would be getting subpoenaed to court. I told them that's fine. I'm represented by a law firm out of Atlanta. And then I asked them what their names were and their badge numbers. And the other one, the first one told me his name was Steve Turner, and the other's name was Mark Crow. So
I'm familiar with Turner.
And I asked him, I said, how do you spell your name? So he said M-A-R-K. And his last name sounded weird to me, so I asked him how he spelled his last name. He said P-R-O. And I don't know why he did that, because one of the other questions he asked me was I literate? Could I read? And I told him yes.
Oh my God.
And so I was, things got I was a little upset, but I kept my composure. And I told him at one time that I don't know why they asked me these other questions, because they have nothing to do with the investigation. And there was no voter fraud going to my house, so they needed to go and find someone else to talk to. And that was pretty much the end of the conversation.
Okay, I have a question for you. What were your profession? What kind of job have you held since you left high school?
I went in the Navy right after graduation. And I got out of the Navy in '92, but I went into the reserves, and then in '94 I enlisted back into the regular Army, active duty, and I retired from the Army on March the 1st, 2010.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm currently a bail bondsman. I've never bailed anyone out yet. And I'm a city councilor.
Yes.
Just newly elected in November.
That's what I wanted. And I also want one other thing. I want to know, because I just read, and Mr. Brooks, I got this in your package, dear, wherein there's a federal judge that made racist comments about our president. And so, out of all the 44 presidents, I think that the last one, President Barack Obama, received more negativity than any president in the history of this country. So I'm bringing that in because of you and what you've done. You served your country, am I correct?
Yes.
But yet you feel, I mean, something with the G.B.R. and your voting, you over in foreign countries, by you being in the military, you could have gone to a foreign nation to die, right?
Yes.
On the battle line.
Yes.
Now, aren't you a disabled veteran? I think you, tell me about that, your disability. That's what I want on here.
Yes, I'm a disabled veteran, 80% disabled, currently working on my 100%, and I've served 2 tours in Iraq.
In Iraq?
In Iraq.
Have mercy. And then for you to come here and to receive questions about voting and voting rights, that reminds me, if not you, of Jim Crow, back in the days when we had to count how many bubbles in a bottle of water, all these other crazy questions. So you are one person who know about the alleged G.B.R. intimidation, am I correct?
Yes.
All
And
right.
I consider that a travesty of justice, and all travesties of justice should be answered up for. And once they look into this, then the mistake can be corrected, and the equipment 10 can be exonerated.
Okay, I want to know your personal opinion. We're going to close this out now. That takes care of that. Now, thank you for your statement. But what do you think in your own words? Give me, I didn't hear this today. I want to hear one person to tell me, I'm going to step off and I want you to talk from your heart. How do you feel about the equipment 10 and what happened to them?
Well, I've known most of the equipment 10 most of my life. I grew up down the street from a couple of them. And they are just people. They are upright people in the community. I've never heard anything bad about any of them. And I just think that this town is still with the 60s mentality, if not before. There's no representation. The city is mostly black, but all of our leadership is white. The mayor is white. The chairman of the board for the county commissioner is white. The sheriff's white. The police chief is white. And now all of a sudden that we have blacks in charge, that's a problem. And I also wonder if they said there was a problem, there was a spike in the ballots, did they check all of the ballots, not just the ballots that were for equipment 10? Did they check the ballots that were voted for on the other side? Or it was a one-sided investigation? So I truly believe that equipment 10 has been dealt a bad hand, and I'll be glad when this is all over and they are put back into their positions, because I believe what the governor did was unconstitutional.
State your name and position that you hold and your address one more time for us.
I am James C. Brown III. I'm a city councilman, District 1, Post 2. My address is 716 East Lafayette Street, Clifton, Georgia, 31643.
Do you remember the date that you were visited by the G.B.R. agents?
I do not remember the date.
You remember the month?
I cannot even remember.
What year was it?
I don't. I believe I wrote all that down on an envelope that I have, because after they left, I called the Department of Justice and I reported their names, and I think I had their badge numbers.
Was it before the equipment 10 were arrested or after?
I believe it was before they were arrested.
Before they were arrested,
Yes.
okay. Thank you very much.
This is kvci.blogspot.com, George Boston Rhymes, YouTube, Boston G.B.R. We do what we do because we want you informed. Once again, thank you, my beautiful councilman. May God bless you. Thank you, Brother Brooks.
How can you do me wrong when I'm doing you right?
The prosecution changed the wording on the ballots to prosecute Lula Smart. The language was not there in 2010. They changed it on the ballot to make it look like she was guilty. The prosecution suppressed evidence.
Yes, sir.
They hid evidence.
Show they did. I'm a witness.
Amen. Show no. Speak it. Tell the truth.
I believe that we ought to demand,
Uh-huh.
as concerned citizens,
Yes.
that they drop the charges on every remaining member.
Hurts me. My county commissioners, Mr. S.O. Jones, Mr. Joe Wingate, and Mr. Howard Lawson find nothing wrong with this. They find nothing wrong with this. How much can one community endure to have the right to have our votes cast and counted for who we want to represent us?
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation lied on the stand.
That's right.
Falsified documents.
That's right.
The Secretary of State lied on the stand. Boone from the post office, who started this whole mess, lied on the stand. All to try to make these citizens look guilty. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation lied on the stand.
That's right.
Falsified documents.
That's right.
The Secretary of State lied on the stand.
In the first trial, 3 of the prosecution key witnesses was all found, I ain't gonna say found guilty, was all 3 of them was guilty of something, one thing or another. You had the, what's his name, the district attorney here?
David Miller.
David Miller. He was caught on perjury. On the stand. You have the old voter registration lady. What she was doing, she was taking ballots home with her, the post office. And once those ballots come in, those voter absentee ballots come in the office, they're supposed to be up on the lock and key. You're not supposed to be taking them home. You can add a 4th person in there because she had her granddaughter helping her with it.
Our attorney, Attorney King, had the opportunity to cross-examine the star witness of the prosecution, Mr. Boone of the United States Post Office. Mr. Boone testified that he had collected the names of and written the names of individuals that mailed in an absentee ballot. This is in violation of his charge and his oath as an officer of the United States Postal Service. I don't want my postman going through my mail and recording who I'm getting mail from. I don't expect my mailman to be recording who I'm sending my Christmas cards to. This is a free country. This is the United States of America. We don't spy on each other in this country. But what he was doing doesn't hold up to the light of day. He presented a list that he swore to of 15 names that he swore put in post office collection box all at the same time. And he swore by one person. Well, very interestingly, upon cross-examination, it was shown in black and white on the return envelope for absentee ballots that one was sent in with a date of July 5th, 2010, and one on a date of July 15th. He had previously testified that every ballot that came in was immediately stamped that day by the local Quitman post office and expeditiously delivered to the registrar of voters here in Brooks County. There were 10 days between the receipt of these two envelopes that he had sworn he recorded on the same day at the same time being deposited by the same person. As the defense attorney said, that is a lie. It was proven to the jury, the judge, and all in the courtroom. These postmarked return envelopes showed the dates of July 5 and July 10, respectively. Those aren't recorded on the same day. Beyond this, that opened a can of worms that the defense attorney has exposed, that the prosecution does not have. Of those 15 ballots, they have but 2 of the originals. The other 12 are missing. They are unable to produce them. They brought out all the materials they contend that the prosecution has. Put the boxes out, let the defense attorneys go through them. That's all we have, and these documents are not in there. The original documents that he is making these salacious charges on are non-existent. The chief case agent of the G.B.R. testified that she picked up many, many boxes from the election office here in Brooks County.
Ms. Braswell.
That is correct. Ms. Braswell testified. She also testified as an agent of the G.B.R. that she turned over every bit, all of that material to the prosecution. All that's remaining today are what look to me like 3-4 small boxes of some evidence, some pieces of paper. The prosecutor is even admitting that they probably won't be able to find the originals. The judge has ordered them to produce the originals by the convening of court, in this case the next day on Tuesday. It is highly unlikely after all this. They have looked before. They will not find originals. They know they are not producible. Why do originals that are being used to tarnish the reputation and exposed to convictions of innocent people, why does that evidence suddenly totally disappear? And beyond that, the list that the registrar would have of individuals applying for these absentee ballots has disappeared. There is no record that these individuals, who the postal employee claims all mailed in their ballot on the same day, came in the same stack at the identical time, they never show on the records of having received a ballot. The ballots are dated by the post office itself 10 days apart. This is a miscarriage of justice in the state of Georgia that cannot be overlooked. The Secretary of State and the Governor have made it very purposeful that they will send the message that if you are African American and if you run for office and if you honestly win the election, you will be punished. The Governor, the Secretary of State are trying to intimidate and suppress the African American vote since they know if the 400,000 registered African Americans in the state of Georgia that did not vote in the last election cycle come out and exercise a right that people have died for, the right to vote. If the African American community and all people of color exercise their constitutional right to vote, it will mean the demise of this white privileged aristocracy here in Georgia. That is not American. That is not worthy of the state of Georgia. This prosecution is a travesty. The prosecutors, the Secretary of State, the Governor should be called out on what they have done to these women and called to publicly apologize for the 4 years that they have put them under this scrutiny and this character assassination. So that's how I feel about today.
Thank you very much. This is the Ghetto Free Press, just keeping it real. Once again, I want to appreciate you. You are a prime example, in my most humble opinion. While we cannot hate one another because of the skin color, it's not about skin color. It's about what is right and wrong. I think perhaps that Jesus put it best, and I put it in my own words. Want for your neighbor that which you want, and have for yourself and your own children. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Ryans. And what's your name once again, my beautiful brother?
George, my name is Kevin Moran.
All right. And you're with the People's Agenda.
I'm with the Coalition of the People's Agenda, convened by Dr. Joseph E. Lowry.
All right. I want to ask you a few questions. Number one, I've been here. I missed Monday because I was up there with the newly elected black Mayor Ann Whipperloo, who's being mistreated, and I believe it all interrelated together.
Yes.
But I got here Tuesday, and I didn't see any news media here Tuesday. I didn't see any Wednesday. I didn't see any Thursday, and I didn't see any today. I didn't even see any of the news reporters. I haven't seen anything in the Valdosta Daily Times, a metropolitan city. I only saw a little snippet in the Equipment Free Press yesterday when I got that in my mailbox because I subscribed to the paper. But the question is, how do you think that the news media like CNN, MSNBC, even with Al Sharpton, can ignore or omit what is happening here in Brooks County, where we had hundreds of people to march here because this is a very, very high-profile case. Why do you think that the news media are not concerned about voting rights down here in South Georgia? Apparently because they're not here.
The mass media that you refer to is totally owned and operated by the white aristocracy in Georgia. And it is an inconvenient truth that Equipment 10 plus 12 have been salaciously charged.
10 plus 2.
10 plus 2 with charges for crimes they did not commit, and it was proven today in court.
Okay. Another thing I want to ask you is that if you had not spoken out a little bit about what happened here today, I say that this information that took place in the courtroom outside of the transcript, which will be a matter of record for all eternity, I guess, but without that, the local citizens here in Quitman and Brooks County and all around South Georgia, they wouldn't know anything about it, because when the newspapers are written, which I call the archival record, when they read that in 30, 40 years in the schools require these students to do turn papers on the events of yesterday, they won't be able to retrieve that from the newspaper because it wasn't there.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think that's why it is essential that this word get out. And I've been fortunate 4 years ago, when you mentioned hundreds of us scattered here on the steps, to be traveling with an international representative of the Mennonite Church, who I contacted last night that this trial is still going on. He has learned the truth, and he is ashamed that the United States judicial system here in Quitman, Georgia, is lynching these 10+2 for acts they never committed, and by the media intentionally, I really believe it is intentionally not being here.
Yes, sir.
It is an inconvenient truth what has been done here. For 4 years, these women and one man have been subjected to daily harangues, allegations by the G.B.R, put in jail because they won an election. They won an election to office that had previously been held by white males. For the first time, we had African Americans of impeccable character and wonderful qualifications as educators elected to the school board. They've been elected 2 times since by the same plurality. This was not a fluke. This was not a manipulated election. This, unfortunately, for some, is the South of the future. Georgia will become a majority state of colored people. Our brothers and sisters in Christ will be represented. This is a democracy in the United States. We have fought for it. We are entitled to our rights of equality under the law. We haven't seen that here. And the media doesn't want to be telling that story because governors, heads of the G.B.R, secretaries of state will be criticizing them and exerting again power upon them. We're playing with some players that have great power and great audacity to use it. We need to stand up to them. We need to tell the truth. The truth needs to be told. And George, you are telling the truth. You are the only member of the press here today. And it's a privilege to have you here and documenting the truth.
y'all still waiting the verdict?
And I still,
Y'all still waiting the verdict?
still want to babysit.
No, we got the verdict.
You got the verdict?
Seriously, can we just have one day with Carter?
No
Got
bill,
free
no
books
bill.
that you still got.
No bill, okay.
Well, here's the thing, I still want to take care of them.
Don't think.
I just heard that somebody said, well, no bill, what was the verdict?
No bill, Joe.
No bill.
No bill.
Okay.
To Basil, no bill, honey.
No bill.
I wish you could be here to hear it. Basil.
So I ask you again, Madam Mayor, where do you think this will end? And I mean the overall situation, where do you think that it just may end?
To be honest, the devil continues. I styled it as Satan himself. He goes and he comes. It'll be only something else. But as I always say, to God be the glory. He has sustained me, and he will continue to sustain me. And I look to him.
I heard you say something earlier that it has been a month since your husband passed.
Yes.
How do you feel about him possibly, not being here? I know he would have been here with you. And what's your take on the fact that he's not here? And there's a possibility that I have said, trying to be independent, but that some of the stress may have led to his demise.
It certainly did, 100%. The fact of seeing me travail and continuously go through these bogus charges is enough to weigh on anybody. It causes physical as well as mental stress. But, with all of that, I've had to look to God, who is my sustainer, who has sustained me through all of this. Yes. Because anybody else who had been put through all of this, there's no way in hell, on the side of heaven, they would have been able to withstand. Yes. And I say to this, to God be the glory, and everything belongs to him. Mm-hmm. And he is the reason why I do what I do. And I say that my husband was a strong supporter of me. He believed in me, and I believed in him. He loved me, and he trusted what I was doing, and I trusted what he was doing. And to see that taken advantage, I will continue to fight for the plight and stand for what is right. As I've been elected by the people to be the voice for the people. It matters not about black and white, black or white. It's about doing the right thing. These people have blighted our town. They've taken everything and stripped us of it. They want to strip me of my dignity and my respect. They stripped me of the right for my husband. And I will never, ever give up. Thank you.
Never give up.
Madam Mayor, one more thing, please. I know this is hard for you, but I want you to answer this question because I was here at the first time when Ms. Wells was here, and you had a witness that was here, and for some reason, that witness actually witnessed what took place, and she was never called to stand before the grand jury. And, I mean, what do you think about that? Is anybody having any comments? Why do you think? Do you have any comments on that, Ezekiel, Elijah?
I would say it's just like any other place. These indictments that brought against the mayor is just to downgrade her. They don't want her in the position that she's in. And whenever she has anyone that wants to stand strong beside her to help support her, this legal system is not going to let them come forward to voice their views on what issues that has happened. The mayor has endured some of the worst abuse anyone could have to go through. She have lost her husband, and people don't even have dignity enough to give her the respect to mourn the way a woman should mourn without having all these problems behind her. We here to support the mayor, no matter what they do to try to down her or bring her down. She has supporters, and I'm one that gonna support her until the very end, no matter what, because this is one strong woman, and she's a woman that's about our town. These few people that's downing her and everything has an agenda. And people don't know what this agenda is, but I would like to tell them, they've been stealing from this town for so long that they don't want people to know what's been going on. But the simple fact is, this lady came into office and she asked them for a forensic audit. This is where everything came down on her at, because she asked for a forensic audit so people will know that she don't have anything to hide when she come in office. She wanted the book open so she'll know where the money is and what's being done, this and that. When you get that type of thing and ask, if you're a criminal, you're gonna try your best to stop it no matter what. And that's what's happening.
That's right.
And I'm gonna tell you the main one, and I don't mind calling name, but I keep from calling name though, but the city of God know who is prosecuting our mayor. They know who behind it.
That's it.
And that's my statement.
And we're going to continue to support her, and they're going down. I mean, they're going down. I mean, no sympathy, no nothing. You know, they have stole long enough. So, what goes up is coming down.
Anyone else have anything to say?
Yes, we support. This is my mother. We support her wholeheartedly. We understand that God has been sustaining her. Their thing is to wear her down mentally, physically, and spiritually, but you cannot shake the Spirit of God, okay? He that is within us is greater than anyone who can be in this world. So all these chantings, you know, all these secret meetings, you know, all of this, it's nothing to us. It doesn't mean anything to us. You can do it all day, all night if you choose to, but we serve the one and only true living God. And we know that He is the author and finisher of every single faith. And if they don't get themselves together, I don't care which side you're on, right or wrong, if you don't get yourself together before that final day, that final call, and you have to stand before the Lord and give your account of what you did and did not do. My mother, she's a good one because she's not going to allow those bad things that they do to shake who she is, because she has to give an account for her reaction to every action. And so she's got us, and we're going to lift her up like they did for Moses. They lifted his arms up and they kept him, and we're going to continue to lift our mother up, our sister up, our community leader up, because she is the mayor of Gordon, and she will continue to be the mayor of Gordon. And I really, you know, ask that other leaders in Gordon and in the county, they step up and show themselves strong, because you have the power. It has always been in your hand. Use it.
Okay, 2 questions, and I don't care who answers this question. Number 1.
I'd like to hear from my mother, George. The
Would you like to say anything?
Well, I can't say that she's my daughter. And as a mother, and how many mothers could stand up, and like I said, and just see how the people are ridiculing her? No, I don't like it. I don't like it, not damn bit.
Now, everybody knows that there is a problem in the state of Georgia on circumventing the power of the black vote, as well as removing mayors from public office. It is approximately 12 cities. So now, the people here are fully aware, I'm sure, that this is indeed a high-profile case. Somebody, anybody, tell me why would not the television stations from the Middle District of Georgia, why would not this case and what the mayor is going through, why is it?
I can answer that wholeheartedly. If you go back to the civil rights, the power of the media was very influential in the movement then. And I believe that people have gone back and taken a look at that, and they've said, if we shed the limelight on her, on the Quitman 10+2, and on the other places, then the media will cause an influx of sympathy and support in every shape, form, and fashion to come through. And so now you have those in control of the media that only want to scandalize and increase the drama for ratings,
Yes.
and just
Pockets,
because they're
filter loop.
in that position to not show what's really going on, okay? And you have journalists who want to show the real thing, but their hands are tied because their boss has said, we can't do these things. You know, they have meetings on this, okay? And we've heard them say it. They've had meetings on this. And no one can really say what they really want. No one can do what they learned in journalism school, because their hands
Controlled.
are tied by the one who signs their paycheck. And so that's what we are, and that's why they refuse to show what's really going on, because they know the influential possibilities of the media showing the limelight on what's really going on.
Well, thank you very much. Anybody else? Because I just love our nation, and our nation is based on freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and all of this. But when we fail to keep the citizenry informed, in my most humble opinion, as a retired military veteran, I ask the question, why is our sons and daughters serving in foreign nations of the world, when they return home like I returned from the Vietnam era veterans, and I see mothers, black fathers, elected by a majority vote in the state of Georgia, and they cannot serve out the tenure for which the people elected them to. And before I close, I want to say this. I'm talking about in Quitman, Georgia. I'm talking about in Lumpkin, Georgia. I'm talking about in Warrenton, Georgia. I'm talking about in Davisboro, Georgia. I'm talking about Gordon, Georgia. I'm talking about Willacoochee, Georgia. I'm talking about Meigs, Georgia, with Linda Harris. And it is amazing. And yet, the leaders here in the state of Georgia seem as if though they're just going to single out Mayor Marianne Whippaloo, when they know for a fact that we have 11 to 12 other cities. And 2 weeks ago, I just had Hancock County to come up and meet with me, and that's on video as well. Madam Mayor, and all those who spoke, and all those who stand in support, and especially the mother, thank you so much. As a member of the press and as a citizen journalist, I do this because I believe in our form of government, and I do believe that the United States of America is the best nation on the face of the earth today, but it can only be as good as the people make it and continue to fight to keep the beacon of hope alive for the free world. Thank you very much.
The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And it's time for us as black to step up. And we're going to do it. The Bible is going to be fulfilled. And the Bible also says, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. He didn't say it wouldn't happen, but he said it wouldn't prosper. And every tongue that rises up against us shall be condemned.
It's our tool to work with. Yes. Stay focused on Jesus Christ and his righteousness. So that is our tool.
She says, to God be the glory. And we'll close on that note.
Praise the Lord.
All right. Did you say you had a statement to make about the religious community? What do you say about the religious community?
Well, first of all, George, I'd like to thank God for being here today in the mix. Our mayor was vindicated, which I know she would be. But what I really would like to say, and it basically to the black leaders and also to the pastors and people that has their churches and things, that their people comes in to, you know, serve them. This mayor we have is a religious woman. I haven't heard pastor come out and stand up for her, or even, you know, vindicate, let her know that you're supporting her in some kind of way. You know, they are the shepherd, and the people are the flock. They feel that if maybe they speak on it, because some may have some disagreement with our mayor. Everybody don't agree with the mayor, and I don't expect everybody to agree with our governor and our president. This is a free country. We got that right. But when you got somebody that's out here fighting, and you know that every time you turn around, she's being vindicated, so it must be something that she's doing correct. So why can't they stand up and support her? Come out here and let her know that they loves her. You know, this woman lost a husband. I don't even know if maybe 1, 2 people might have came out and gave her support, but something like that, everyone should be rallying around her, giving her support instead of negativity. This woman lost her husband. They trying to take a position from her. What more do you want from her? You know, do it take her to do the sacrifices that her husband gave for them to be satisfied? But if you do that, I'm here to tell you, it's only going to be another black one to come and replace the one that you takes away. And I hate to come down and say it the way that I'm saying it, but it's not only a black and white thing, it's a people thing. Because I don't want people to think that I'm just speaking on black behalf. There are some white that support her very much, and some white support because they're spiritual and they believe in equality. Everybody should be treated in the same manner. We got a lot of people, especially in Gordon, that believe in this, but you got a few, and it's not a whole bunch of them. It's a few devils that's in the city of Gordon that like to cause this kind of confusion and stuff in the community. But you got other people that don't say anything. They don't say anything. They don't fight. They just sit back and not say anything. But you can't not just sit back and let your leaders be crucified and just let your voice not be heard. It's a time now, not being afraid. You know, you're only supposed to fear our Heavenly Father. You're not supposed to fear no man. And to me, a lot of us falling way short. Read your scripture, read your Bible, and see that you're supposed to stand and stand strong. You heard of wars and rumors of wars. See how they turns out. Long as God got his hands in it, you will be free. And you will be the one on the surviving end.
And give me your name once again.
My name is Elijah Simmons.
And why do you speak out? And you've done it before. And I'm not from Gordon, but you just amaze me in the manner and the spirit for which many civil rights leaders have fought for, including many of our pastors of yesterday.
Yes.
It seems like that spirit is alive in you. So why do you do what you do short form? I don't want to extend it, but...
Well, George, I'm going to make it short for you. I was born and raised right here in Gordon. I left Gordon because my parents was afraid that by me speaking out that something may happen to me in the 70s. So I left my hometown and went to New Jersey. I returned back into my hometown to find out that nothing has changed since I left, basically. We got leaders now that's in place. The mayor, she was behind me in school a couple of years, but she always been a striving person to do the right thing. So far as I'm concerned, I want to see changes made. You know, there's been a time when I've been called, as you have been, the N-word.
Nigger.
Right. And the simple fact of it is, I expect that from some people. And to me, that's ignorant on their part. But the dinosaur is died away. So these people that don't count a black person and a black leader as a human being, don't see her as a black woman, see her as a mayor. Don't see her as a color, see her as a mayor. And then once you can do that and find out that people that are voted, and she was voted, it wasn't appointed or anything like that, she was voted by the citizen for this position. So you mean to tell me that you would still try to condemn her after all the people did the voting, said what they need to say, and got her this position, and now you want to take this position back from her? And those people that voted for her, I want to say to you, even though you go behind this curtain and make your vote in privacy, make her know that you still support her. Come out here now and support her. You know, you ain't got that many people that's against her as the ones that's for her. Come out and support our mayor. You know, it's still a black and white thing more in the South than it is in the North, because I've dealt with it. I was born in it, the South, so I know what goes on here. Can't nobody tell me this and that ain't going.
Okay.
I was one out there and had to deal with all of the oppression and the, as you said, I said the N-word, but nigger. Yeah. That's the thing. I had to hear that in the fields, in school, matter of fact, in the stores, anywhere I went. And matter of fact, I wasn't even allowed to go into the restaurant from the front door and get my food. I had to go around the back to get my food, but my money was good enough for them to take. Why wasn't it good enough to take from the front door as well as the back door?
I see you fired up. Let's close this out. In short form, short form, I'm gonna ask you again.
Yes.
What makes you speak out when others won't in 10 or 15 words or less?
Well, I'm gonna just tell you just like this here. I'm a child of God. So I'm gonna put it like this. I feel that it's him that directs me. I go through a lot of, I hear the same thing the mayor probably hear. I hear a lot of rhetoric, a lot of threats, but I don't live by those.
So short form, you do what you do because you believe in God.
That's right. And I believe someone should stand up, and the sad part about it, there's not many men that does, but there are a few that does. But we're going to try to bring them out even more, George, and let them speak. Not only black, white ones too. We like to hear from a few of them and see what they have to say.
Elijah Cummings, thank you so much, my beautiful brother.
You're very welcome.
This is the Ghetto Free Press, and we do what we do because it must be done. It's just that simple. We're at the Wilkinson County Courthouse, and we're doing this because if we don't, who else will?
All right. June 2016, so summer before the presidential election, that's when we first learned that the Democratic National Committee, Democratic Party, had been hacked. This was the first story that ran about it in the Washington Post, which also helpfully made clear, based on a forensic analysis that was done by a computer security firm, that it appeared that that hack of the Democratic Party was carried out by Russian government hackers. Well before the disaster of Georgia election security in the 2016 election. In his first full year as Secretary of State in 2010, he sent armed agents door to door in black neighborhoods in Brooks County, Georgia. This was after a big get out the vote effort there among black residents. That big get out the vote effort led to the first ever majority African-American school board in their town. Local residents said they'd been motivated that year by teacher layoffs in their school district, teacher layoffs that were really unpopular. And according to one local leader of the voter registration effort, quote, "We'd been bit by the Obama bug." This is 2010. We'd been bit by the Obama bug, and we knew it was time for a change in Brooks County as well. They brought criminal charges against 12 local black residents who'd helped in the Get Out the Vote effort. They brought charges against those 12 residents for things like bringing envelopes containing completed absentee ballots to a mailbox. They criminally charged this group of local residents with more than 100 election law violations, including dozens of felonies. They put them on trial to face more than 1,000 combined years in prison. And you know what? Not a single one of those charges held up. On every single one of those charges, the local resident was either acquitted or the charge had to be dropped by the prosecutors. Not only were there no convictions, there weren't even any plea deals. Acquitted or dropped on every single one. And the Attorney General of the state subsequently had to issue a statement clarifying that actually none of the actions those African-American local residents in Brooks County had been charged with, none of the things they were charged with were actually illegal. Mailing in absentee ballots is not a crime. Registering your neighbors to vote is not a crime. But tell that to the people who Brian Kemp sent his armed agents door to door after in 2010. That's Brian Kemp, Georgia Secretary of State.